Mexico, I respect the country. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our manufacturing. They're taking our money. They're taking everything, and they're killing us on the border. And Mexico does not like it. So remember this. Don't worry, we'll take our country back very soon. Very soon.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump over the weekend criticized U.S. immigration policy and promising to take our country back. Welcome back to Newsmax Prime. I'm Joe Pags, filling in for J.D. Hayworth. Donald Trump is firing people up, and you know, we've got to talk to somebody who's on the front lines every day. It's the governor of the great state of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, the Republican. Greg, how are you?
Joe, I'm doing great. Great to be back with you again.
It's interesting. You're in New York. I'm in Florida. We both get together a lot in Texas. The interesting thing about Donald Trump, Governor, is if he doesn't leave the word illegal out, we probably don't see this big powder keg that it became. He didn't say the word illegal when he made his comments, but his comments, I think you and I would agree, weren't that far off, right?
Well, see, here's the deal. First of all, he, as well as a bunch of other Republican candidates running for president, are raising a very important issue, and that is the issue about border security, about the flaws in our immigration system. You know me. I don't think that I would use the same tenor as he did. If you listen to the snippet he just played, I will suggest that his frustration is misdirected. That frustration seemed to be targeting Mexico. His frustration should be targeting Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
The failure here is Washington, D.C. The entity responsible for securing the border, for immigration system, are the leaders in Washington, D.C., and they have been an abject failure. But Texas has stepped up and done what Washington, D.C. should have done. Texas stepped up and secured our border this past session, where we spent $800 million to ensure that we have a secure border.
Well, Governor, a lot of people want to know. You, of course, the governor of the longest bordered state, Texas. A lot of people want to know, what can you do if the federal government sues states like it did Arizona under Jan Brewer? If it sues states because they try to do the right thing when it comes to immigration, do you have a fear that the federal government will come after you in Texas as you try to put all these provisions in place to stop the flow of illegals coming across as well?
The answer is no, and here's the reason why. In the aftermath of that Arizona case, the one thing the Supreme Court said states do have an ongoing responsibility and authority to do, and that is to keep their states safe. And so what the state of Texas has done is we have gotten tired of the federal government not doing its job, and so we invested $800 million of our own money to put boots on the ground, to put airplanes in the air, to put boats on the water, to put these cameras in where we will be able to monitor virtually every one of the 1,200-mile border that we have with Mexico, so we can know exactly what is happening. And so Texas is going to step up and shoulder the responsibility to secure the border, do what the federal government has failed to do, but we expect Washington, D.C. to pay the price tag.
Here's what we know, Governor. We know that we've got drug trafficking coming across the border via the cartels. We know we've got coyotes bringing people across the border for unbelievable prices. And there is a human trafficking problem, too, as far as people who are being brought over to be prostitutes, children who are being kidnapped from their parents. Yes, the coyotes are raping women. So, again, the comment's probably not as you or I would say, but there really are these problems at the border. Do you think that it's a good thing? I don't know if Donald Trump wins the nomination or not. I have no clue. But do you think it's a good thing that it's in the national consciousness that we're talking about it at least?
Well, Joe, as you know, I've exposed some of these problems myself.
Yeah.
Let's go back just to 1 year ago when you saw the women and children who were coming across the border. What people need to understand is that many of those women and children, in fact, most of them, got here by paying money to cartel members who brought them to traverse across Mexico.
Right.
And oftentimes, or sometimes, the women would be raped. They would be forced into human trafficking. Some of the children were forced to commit crimes against other children. And so it's just horrific what these people have gone through. And if we really want to show compassion, we need to make sure that we shut down the cartel and human smuggling, human trafficking activities, so these people will not be victimized the way they are.
Governor, we've oftentimes talked about this. The job creation in Texas is through the roof. You're doing a great job. Governor Perry did a great job before you. I've oftentimes asked you, why doesn't Washington Why doesn't they throw a contingent on a plane, send them to Texas, find out what we're doing right? We're seeing unemployment, real unemployment that's through the roof. We're seeing 95 million Americans aren't even in the workforce anymore, yet Texas keeps on churning out jobs. What are you doing right, and can it work nationally?
Well, as governor in my first term, I just made Texas even better for doing business. We cut taxes by more than $4 billion. We, of course, invested $800 million in securing the border. We spent more on education, and we spent more than $4 billion to build out our road infrastructure, all while spending less than the revenue that we have. So we have a savings account of well over $10 billion. It shows that government can work. Washington, D.C. doesn't work because we don't have a Congress talking to the president, a president talking to Congress, and we have this over-regulation. Look at what's going on with Dodd-Frank, with the EPA, with Obamacare. They want to spend all your money. They want to over-regulate your lives. And the reason, if I had to label one thing, the reason why jobs are not growing more across the United States of America is because of the heavy-handed regulations coming out of Washington, D.C.
I need a one-word answer because we're out of time. Iran deal happens. Oil's going to flood the market. Are you worried about the oil industry in Texas? Yay or nay?
We've been here before. We'll be here again. It may have a short-term downslide, but it'll go right back up because the world will continue to grow. We'll be just fine in the energy sector in Texas.
We'll talk again. Governor Greg Abbott, the great state of Texas. Thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, we want to hear from you, and now it's easier than ever. I want you to check us out on social media. You can send your comments via email, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can also include your comments at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Back after this.